member for over 25 years and actually became a life member 2 years ago, both my wife and I, and we've been active. It's been a great organization. I've served as president of the organization back in 2002. Very proud moment. I continue to serve on the executive board as well as other committees, and I'm the legislative chair for the Texas Forestry Association.
And what does a life member mean?
Life member basically means I paid dues for 20 years, and I could have paid a life membership to pay for all those 20 years, but it means I have no more dues, and we get a plaque over at the main offices, but it mostly means our commitment to the organization, that we feel very strongly about it and want to be a permanent life member to it. Well, as I was starting out in the forest industry, came out of school, it was always encouraged everybody to be a part of the forest community through mostly the most prestigious in East Texas was the Texas Forestry Association, which we're celebrating our 100th year as an organization this year. And because it's made up of not just business or mills or timber companies, it is made up of foresters, both private and state and federal, as well as company foresters, mill managers, mill owners, loggers, and then certainly private forest landowners, all sorts, even surveyors. Anybody has something to do, their business or activities have something to do with forest resource management. They are members of this organization. And in being so, then you get to know your community and you get to understand the aspects of what loggers face, their issues and problems, what mills, landowners, foresters, and the networking possibilities are just excellent. What makes this organization is not only the people, but then the leadership within it. Our executive director and the staff are top quality. They have excellent communication skills that they utilize and represent the members very well. Other than the benefits of networking and being in communication with other aspects of the industry, are our benefits to be recognized and our problems being recognized on the political stage, not only statewide but nationwide. And we have a voice, a collective voice in the state and the federal legislature that can express our issues, our problems, and offer solutions to a lot of those problems. And there's a lot of training. The tree farm system is administered by the Texas Forestry Association here in Texas. It gives us lots of opportunities for certifications of tree farms. The Texas Forestry Association is able to offer training programs that none of us individually could probably have that opportunity to have, much less afford them on our own. Absolutely. My company has 2 foresters. We're both certified tree farm inspectors, which was offered through the Texas Forestry Association free of charge. We also have, through our private consulting organization, American Associations of Consulting Foresters, they partner with us and help us get our continuing education credits through our not only our meetings, tree farm meetings, but then our annual associational meeting helps us get our continuing education credits, as well as offer training in those areas. So we take advantage of all of it. Every certification that we can obtain in the forestry field, because it's sometimes misunderstood, and most of the public, being in East Texas, we're just a small part of the state, don't understand what forestry is or good forest management. It then allows us to show those certifications that we are trained, that we do understand. My company was recently acquired by a larger company, Farmers National Company, and one of their reason they chose us to acquire was our cooperative efforts and participation in the forestry community itself here in Texas and nationally. Always new opportunities as industry grows. For instance, in the pellets and biomass industry, Texas Forestry Association is always on the cutting edge, along with the Texas Forest Service, to know how those industries are working, what the needs of those industries are, how we can help our clients, and that's what it's all about, is the landowner take advantage of those markets. And there are some trainings as far as prescribed burning training, and other opportunities, but mostly we're continually hone our skills, and Texas Forestry Association helps us do that. Well, we do have a Forestry Political Action Committee. That's a separate part, but is part of Texas Forestry Association. Was created by Texas Forestry Association to help get into the halls of state legislature, to let them understand our issues and our problems here in East Texas. Not just East Texas legislators, but statewide legislators and the governor and secretary of agriculture, all of those. And it helps us in that way to come as a unified voice with our problems, and knowing that it's not just one specific interest group, a mill or a landowner or a logger or something like that. So it makes us a much more viable and reputable voice. The problems are not necessarily ours, it's what our landowners' problems, and they become our problems. A lot of them are in issues as far as property tax. One of the biggest experiences I've had that's been a plus for all landowners in East Texas, especially forest landowners, was we were able to get a reduction in property taxes because of the investments landowners were making. For instance, planting trees. We would harvest a stand and then plant those trees. Well, they were being taxed, property taxes were being levied at the same value of those mature trees were for the young trees. And we were able to get the legislature to understand that, and then they were able to, then the Reforestation Act, Texas Reforestation Act several years ago, were able then to reduce the property tax on timberland that's been planted for at least 15 years until it became a viable and merchantable tract, and they could actually be having income off of it. And there's been others that affect all of us. For instance, loggers have issues of weights on and tickets on and things like that, issues on their roads, using public roads, that affect the landowners and the landowners' price for what they get for their timber. And TFA has used all of those and worked with all of those to help us. Personally, I had the opportunity to become was invited to submit my candidacy for a position on advisory council, a forest resource coordinating committee with the Department of Agriculture, and TFA was instrumental, along with others, in putting our credentials out there. And one of the credentials I had was a long-time affiliation, and so I am a member of that advisory council and serve in Washington, D.C. periodically. If you're a forest landowner, or even a forest resource, or a naturalist, or a conservationist, which we all are, if you are just interested in sustainability or any aspect of forest resource, Texas Forestry Association will give you a voice, certainly enlighten you in all the aspects of whatever your interests are. And as soon as you can get joined and become a participating member, not just a joined member, but come into the meetings and have your input and be heard, it's certainly a benefit to you. We had a lot of issues back then. We had experienced a pretty good price drop and market drop in timber. And there was some conflicting reports of what the price actually was, because the price of timber in Texas affects our property tax rates a lot of times, as well as interest rates. So our reporting system we had was coming under fire as to whether how accurate it was. But the biggest thing there was that we were able, again, we had differing views from loggers to landowners to mills and production companies. We were able to come together and come to consensus on that. This is what we need to do. This is how we need to refine it to reflect all of our interests. And that was probably one of the biggest things. And there were others, but that was probably the thing that still wakes me up in the night, that you had an opportunity for this organization to just blow apart, and instead they came together and saw common ground and stood on it. I just am very proud of the affiliation I have here and how it represents with Texas Forestry Association, and how it represents forest landowners as well as anybody who's involved with natural resources. I couldn't be prouder, and I look to be a long member, and I would encourage anybody who's thinking about participating in forest resource or natural resource involvement to become a member of Texas Forestry Association. They'll be very happy they did.